Y'all, it's week 3 of the Breakthrough course. I am so excited for you to get into this week. If you've done week 1 and week 2, I think you're going to be pretty blown away at your own progress and your own breakthroughs this week. If you've yet to start it, no worries. It is here for you. It is free. All you need to do is download the Chani app and it's all yours. And you can share it with all your friends and your family and whoever you think might like it or might need a breakthrough. But not that that's any of your business. Anyways, if you're having a breakthrough, if you're experiencing the course in any way that you find exhilarating or interesting and you want to share it with us, please do. Write into us, tag us on socials. We love to hear how the work is landing for you. We wanted to make this year the best one yet for you. So let us know how it's going. Hello and welcome. This is the Astrology of the Week Ahead podcast. I'm your host, your astro bestie, Chani Nicholas. In this episode, we are talking about the week of May 5th. Okay, y'all. I gotta say, there's not like massive astrology that happens this week, which is lovely. Next week, like next Monday, so we're heading into it because what is a week? It's just some man's definition of time. We're heading into, on May 12th, a big, loud, deep, cathartic, intense full moon in Scorpio. So by the time we get to the end of this week, we're just right into that full moon in Scorpio. So it's not technically happening within these next 7 days, but that's where we're going. So we know that big feelings are right around the corner, and by the end of this week, we'll be in them. You, me, everybody we know, in our feelings, in a deep, transformative, cathartic kind of cycle, whatever that means for each of us. It's all going to be personal, right? And then there's a collective kind of horror sometimes that we deal with. Honestly, when there's a full moon in Scorpio, it's usually a little goth, a little on the edge, a little edgelord, as we like to say, with a full moon in Scorpio. It's fullness of feeling because in Scorpio, the moon is in its fall. So there's not a lot of security, but there's a lot of depth and intensity. And that's not what the moon likes. The moon would like good conditions for nourishment, nurturance, conception, reciprocity, safety, safety, safety. But when we feel really deeply, we have to come up against everything that feels threatening. I mean, feeling deeply is really threatening. It's threatening to our ego. It's threatening to our sense of self. It's threatening to our identity. But ultimately, it's transformative. And ultimately, it's freeing. And there's a lot of that theme carried through this full moon. There's a lot about freedom that is going to come up by the end of this week and into next week. So I just want to preface this recording with that, because that full moon and what happens at the end of that week is like one of the standout things of May, besides the fact that then Saturn will move into Aries, which is obviously the bigger deal. But that full moon is going to be like a peak emotional experience. Saturn doesn't move into Aries until May 24th. So that's the biggest note of May. But second to that, I think the full moon on May 12th is the biggest thing. Okay, but this week alone on Monday brings us some very healing and very confidence boosting conversations. Mercury, still in Aries on Monday, makes a sextile to Jupiter. Big ideas, bold conversations. Have the courage to say the thing. Go for it. Ask for a meeting. Ask to have the call. Be like, hey, do you have a second? I need to talk to you about this thing. Be confident, be courageous, say the things you know need to be said at this time, and you'll get a lot of good support from it. And it will be healing, I promise you, because immediately, or basically at the same time, Mercury on Tuesday makes a conjunction with Chiron, which is about understanding the wound, addressing the wound, and saying, oh, this is the medicine it needs. And there's something really medicinal about Jupiter because it's a planet that we say is a benefic, so it brings about good things. It's opening, it's relaxing, it's expansive, and we can't unfurl unless we feel safe enough to do so. And when we feel safe enough to do so, we know that some healing has happened, or at least there's an absence of pain. So with the combination of Jupiter and Chiron, there's something about understanding or articulating a pain point, but getting a lot of support in the process and actually having it be healing. So I just want to say this again. Have the conversation at the beginning of the week. The astrology is really good for it. It's bouncy, it's confident, it's rah-rah, it's cheerleading. And it's also deep and real, and it's going to help you heal. I didn't mean to rhyme, but I did, and you're welcome. Also on Tuesday, Venus, also in Aries, makes a sextile to Pluto. And this is really good for fun. This is good for flirty vibes. This is good for doing something that is powerful and potent and cathartic, that has to do with your relationships, that has to do with creating art, that has to do with working creatively, that has to do with anything that you feel is transformative and adds some love, some brightness, some little like pop of color to your life or to the world in general. So the combination of these things at the beginning of the week, Monday and Tuesday, brings about a lot of activity and support for that activity. And again, the theme is being bold and courageous and willing to take action towards what you love, towards the truth, towards the thing that's going to set you free and give you that little bit of healing and a boost of confidence yourself. Because when we say something, when we do something, when we take action, especially when it's something that we fear or that we're a little trepidatious about or we're unsure about, when we do take that action, we build confidence. It's the only way that we can actually build confidence and skill. It doesn't have to work out in the way that we hoped it would or the way we thought it should, but the actual doing it is the teaching and the teacher itself. So move with your inspiration in the beginning of the week. Take the actions that you know you need to take. Like, what are you being inspired to do? And do not overthink it. Go and do it. Go with as much confidence as you can. And, tune your ears, inner, outer ears, listen to people. Obviously, be like accountable and responsible for what you do. But be in the process of learning as you go. Build the plane as you're flying it. Kind of vibe. It's Aries, it's Mercury in Aries, Venus in Aries. We need to take these leaps of faith, take the appropriate risks, take the needed risks to do and say the things that are going to create bonds and connections and expansiveness and healing and abundance. Because shrinking in fear never creates abundance. It can create greed. It often does. I think it always does. And the opposite to greed is coming from a place of abundance. But we can't come from a place of abundance until we are wrestling and tackling and actively engaged with moving through our fear. At least that's what I've found. And then the next thing to happen is that on Saturday, Mercury moves in to Taurus. And look, Mercury has not been in Taurus for a while. Mercury has spent so much time in Aries and a little bit of time in Pisces because it retrograded through there, went back into Pisces, stationed direct, then had to move back through Pisces and then through Aries. So this is the first time it's been out of Aries or Pisces for a couple of months. So this is a fresh new conversation that we're starting to engage with as of Saturday. And it's more grounded, it's more practical, it's less hot-headed, it's less, leap before you look kind of vibes. It's more like, let's plod along and be really methodical about how we're saying things and communicating them. But also that full moon that's going to happen on Monday, on the 12th of May, is going to be quite awakening. It's going to be quite eye-opening. It's going to be quite startling. Again, from the depths of our emotion, from the basin, from the base, from the mud, from the deep down, 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 down inside of us, there will be something that erupts and comes forward. Obviously, what happens on the world stage will tell us a lot about what has been just underneath the surface. Because anything with Scorpio wants to peel back the layers, right? Anything that happens in Scorpio, like a full moon, will want to lift up the rug and look under the rock and see what's going on underneath. It's the nature of Scorpio. So we're going to be doing that internally, and we're probably going to be doing that collectively, although a lot has been exposed already. So we're already living amongst the horrors. Nevertheless, we persist kind of vibes, but I think there's going to be some kind of rallying point that happens over this weekend, because remember, the full moon happens on Monday. So leading up to that full moon, there's going to be a lot that's stirred up. And if we're moved into action either this weekend or the following weekend, I will not be surprised, because the following weekend, we've got the sun and Uranus coming together for Cazimi, which is very much a part of that full moon, meaning there's a breakthrough, there's an insight, there's something that comes through that's unexpected and very ruckus. So we've got all of those themes being worked out late into this weekend and all through next week. Okay, now it's time for the Ask Me Anything segment of the podcast, where you write in, you give us your questions. I try my best to answer them. This week's question is fascinating to me. The question is, what is the end goal for understanding our charts? And that's such a personal question. That is such a you question. What is your end goal for understanding your chart? To me, I find it so liberating and so touching and so deeply awe-inducing that the sky would give me a mirror and a map of my deepest yearnings, my greatest strengths, my absolute weaknesses, my places where I need to grow, and show me what I've got to work with in this lifetime and what I need to actually actively make a choice to heal in this lifetime. I think our charts contain all of that. It's the good news and the bad news, and it's whatever you want to hear first. It's whatever you want to, take a little of the good, take a little of the difficult, and be like, okay, I've got this much, and I got to work with this much, and I got to do this much, and I need to do this. And then you mix it all together. That's your chart. So to me, the end goal of understanding our chart is to understand the potential of me, of my life. If I choose to work on myself, if I choose to heal, if I choose to move beyond my fears, if I choose to live into my potential and live as loudly as I want to, as quietly as I want to, as deeply as I need to, as subtly and as explicitly as is my right to. My chart shows me the potential of that. And at the same time, it gives me the tools and the little hey, but also make sure you do this work over here so that I can do that with greater accuracy. I mean, I don't have to know my chart. I can just go to therapy. I can develop myself. I can be in community. I can have relationships. I can have really good guidance and mentors and get the same thing. But to me, it does something to my heart, to my soul, to my being, to know that I live within an intelligent universe that is speaking to me if I want to engage in a conversation with it. And why wouldn't I want to engage in a conversation with a universe that is reflecting back to me and to all of us, to all of creation, the potential that we each have to live out itself? The universe is trying to live out its potential through this personality called Chani, through your personality called you. We are all just different rays of light from the same sun, if you will, that is expressing itself in this very unique way. And then it's going to fall back into the whole, right? We're like those in White Lotus, and the teacher says, we're just that little drop of water that rises up with the wave. And then that's our lifetime. We think we're separate, and we're just an expression of that wave, of that water, of that whole ocean. And then we go right back to it. You and I are momentarily this expression of the same universal life force energy. And that universal life force energy is here to experience itself in all these different forms. So you and I really do believe are one. We are one and the same. And we're living out this experience for, I don't know what reason. I just know that we're here. I just know that it is. And so the chart, I feel, gives me a reflection, a mirror image of what the universe wanted to do when I was born. through me. I'm one tiny, tiny, tiny little grain of sand, a little speck of dust of this whole thing. And so I find it really heartening. I find it really nourishing. I feel loved when I look at my chart. I feel like sometimes I have felt like, oh man, why did I pick this one? If you believe like you picked your chart before you came in to this life, like some people believe that. I don't know if that's, I don't know. I'm not saying that that's my definite philosophy. I think it is, but it doesn't matter. It's just, sometimes I have felt like, I can't believe I've got to work with this chart. And I see other people's charts and they're so, it's easy. Grass is greener on the other side. And then most of the time, the older that I get, and this is the thing with your chart, the older you get, the more sense it will all make, because you're supposed to be gritty and weird and ill-fitting and gnarled and like odd, and you're supposed to stick out here and be fine here and smooth here and rugged here and like, scratchy and soft and all of it together. You're not supposed to be simple. You're not supposed to make sense. And your chart, like it all goes together, but it doesn't all make sense together, but you've got to figure out how to make sense of it. That's beautiful. That's so weird. That's so magnificent. That's so us, don't you think? So to me, it's like an affirmation that I'm living as part of the universe finding itself, expressing itself, experiencing itself. Maybe there's nothing more to this whole life than the universe experiencing itself through all of us. We are all the universe experiencing itself in this horror-filled, gorgeous, beautiful, loving, deranged world. I don't know why we're here. I don't know why it's like this. But the chart holds these like magic keys that I can sit down with strangers all across the world. And as long as we have a translator, as long as I can understand what I'm saying and I can understand what they're saying, their chart will tell me things about them that I would never know otherwise. I have been reading people's charts for decades, and it never ceases to amaze me. Just the kind of potential, the kind of mirroring, and the kind of seeds that are planted, that are in our charts, that are in our souls. It never ceases to amaze me how perfect of a mirror our chart is for us. So I hope that answers something for you. But my main question is, what is the end for you? What has astrology given you? What are you looking for in it? I think to the highest degree, it reflects our greatest, and it reflects our strangest and our weirdest and our most creative. And it reflects our sorrows and our pitfalls and our stumbling blocks. And it reflects all of our growth edges, and it reflects all of us. I hope you feel that when you look at your chart and when you learn about it. Thank you so much for the question. All right, y'all, that is our episode. As I've said a million times before in this little episode, next week's big astrology is that full moon on the 12th, but it's also the Uranus Cazimi on the 17th. So next week is bookended with some pretty loud, emotional, explosive, startling, game-changing, innovative, experimental, and ultimately like freedom-loving astrology. If Uranus is in the mix, which it very much is next week, it's about getting free. And with a Scorpio full moon happening on the other side of that, we know that we can get free through feeling deeply. Something like that. Let's live it out together. Okay, I'll see you back here next week for more on all of that. Bye for now.